So good evening, everyone. I'm just going to wait another minute until we get to 6 o'clock and then we'll make a start. Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Julie Taylor, and it's my privilege to be the principal of the Belvedere Academy. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. This is our very first virtual live open evening. So it's a little bit of an experiment for us, but we're really looking forward to seeing how it works. And thank you so much for tuning in. So we'll be about an hour or so. And the purpose of the evening is just to give you a little taster of life in the Academy and for you to learn why we are so successful in a little bit more of a live forum. It's so difficult for prospective parents. I really understand that at the moment because it's so sort of almost impossible for you to go and visit schools with your children. And I know that's really difficult because it's obviously a really important decision to choose which secondary school you would like your child to attend. So I hope this helps. We're trying to fill the gaps as best we can, and this is one of the ways in which we're doing that. You might already have seen our Open Evening film. So Open Evening was actually scheduled for last June, and to take the place of that, we did a short film, which is still available on our website. So do have a look at that if you haven't seen it yet. That gives you more of a flavour to the Academy, really. Do use our website as well. Lots of information on there. And I think if I were a prospective parent, what I would be looking for is obviously all the detail, but things like newsletters, communications that we've sent out from the Academy to our parents and our pupils, all of which is stored on the website. And I think that gives you a really good flavour of what we can offer you here at Belvedere Academy. We're going to put on some more online events as we go through the next few months, just to introduce prospective parents and pupils to the school. So we might have a similar event for our sixth form in a few weeks' time. We might have some chats with pupils, and we're looking at other things that we can do, just as I say, to fill that gap that you're obviously managing at the moment because you can't make these visits in person. Obviously, many of you have emailed your questions in, and we're going to be answering some of those questions in the second half of this evening. And thank you for doing that. But again, obviously, if there are things that we haven't answered or things that you want a little bit more information about, get in touch via the website and we will get back to you. So basically, we're going to give my presentation like this, and then I'm going to introduce you to some members of my team who are here this evening, who are going to answer some of the questions that you sent in. So welcome to Belvedere Academy, or more specifically, welcome to my office in the Belvedere Academy. It's not quite the same as you coming through the doors and sitting in the gym and listening to this presentation in person. A little bit about me to begin with. Prior to working here, and I started in this post in September 2019. So prior to working here, I've been an English teacher for 26 years, and 10 of which I was a senior leader in another school. But actually, I started my career at Belvedere School back in 1994. This was my very first post. And so coming back here as principal is a little bit like coming home. The school itself obviously has changed hugely since I started here in 1994. However, the ethos of the school and the atmosphere remains exactly as it was back then. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on in this presentation. So many of you will know that there's been a school at this site for 140 years. Up until 2007, Belvedere School was a fee-paying independent school. But in 2007, it became the very first independent school to convert to becoming a state-funded academy. So that's what Belvedere Academy is now and has been since 2007. It's an all-ability, state-funded, single-sex academy for pupils between the ages of 11 and 18. We have the full range of ability here. We have pupils from all over the city and beyond. There is no set catchment area for Belvedere Academy. And there are no real patterns, to be honest, in terms of pupils coming from different primary schools. We don't have any feeder schools. As I say, we're taking a very broad range, both of ability and from families that are located all over the city. In 2010 and then in 2015, we were awarded outstanding inspections by Ofsted. And perhaps because of that, the Academy is currently experiencing a huge period of real growth, which we are incredibly pleased about. So the local authority asked us to increase our pupil allocation number a few years ago, and they then funded an additional building for us to accommodate these new pupils. So from September 2019, we've had a pupil allocation number for year 7 of 155 pupils. And as I say, we've got a new build funded by the local authority, which helps us to accommodate those pupils. Our sixth form is also growing. So currently we have approximately 280 year 12 and 13 students in our sixth form. And we are incredibly pleased about that, because the sixth formers bring so much to our school. They're really involved in the life of the school. And we are overjoyed that we are giving them that opportunity to get those fantastic qualifications, and also to just experience life at Belvedere Academy and be part of what we do here. So throughout that 140 years, the school on this site, first known as Liverpool High School for Girls and then Belvedere School and now Belvedere Academy, has been part of the Girls' Day School Trust. The Girls' Day School Trust is a trust of 25 schools, 23 of which are still independent fee-paying schools, and 2 schools which are academies. So we are one of those academies, and the other one is our sister school, which is Birkenhead High School Academy over on the Wirral. We're really pleased to be part of the GDST, or the Girls' Day School Trust. If you know anything about that educational trust, you will know that at the heart of it is the idea of learning without limits for young women. So the trust and all its 25 schools have a really strong belief in how education can provide the opportunities for young women to learn without limits. In other words, to learn in any direction that they choose to, and to have fantastic support so that they can go off into their lives at 18 and take any path that they wish to and be a success at doing that. Another element of the vision of the GDST is Future Leaders Start Here, and you might have seen that marketing campaign recently. Future Leaders Start Here, and I think that's so key to what we do at Belvedere. It doesn't mean that every pupil who comes here has huge amounts of confidence, is hugely successful when they start, because it's something that we offer our pupils as they come here and as they go through their education here, this opportunity to become future leaders. And that might be leaders in organizations, large organizations, in particular career areas. It might also be leaders in the community, and also even leaders in their own family life, you know, taking opportunities, really wanting to make a difference to the world around them. And we really embrace that vision in what we do at Belvedere Academy, and being part of the GDST brings us all sorts of fantastic opportunities, particularly in our sixth form, but also all the way through the school. There are lots of trust-wide competitions, learning opportunities, collaborations between the schools, sport, music, drama, public speaking, photography, the arts in general. And there's so many opportunities for us, as well as in the curriculum areas, that we get this sort of support from being a group of 25 schools across England. Sitting within these values of the GDST are our own vision and values at Belvedere Academy. We've spent a year now, from September 2019, reframing those that vision and those values, really to give us a driving force. And when I came here as principal in September 2019, it was an activity that I really embraced and wanted to be a part of, and drove with all our stakeholders. So we involved the pupils, the staff, the parents and families, the governors, in coming up with what we wanted our vision and values to be as we forge ahead over the next, hopefully, 140 years. So the vision that you will know, I'm sure if you've looked on the website, which we decided upon, in fact, just before lockdown, just before school closure, was be brave, be bold, be Belvedere. And that to me sits at the heart of what we do here. Being brave is perfect, I think, for what we do here, because it does encapsulate the idea that young women who come to our school perhaps aren't necessarily naturally confident, aren't necessarily natural leaders, as I just said. But if you are brave and you take some risks, you can really kind of become that bold person, and that confident person, and that person who feels that they can leave school at 18 and really take on the world, or even just in a minor way, look for something which is their path in life. So being brave for me is really, really important. And obviously that leads us into being bold. And at the end of that vision is Be Belvedere. So I think that's a brilliant vision for us. It came out of our pupil voice activities. It wasn't one that we imposed on the school by any means. It grew out of all the discussions we had with our stakeholders, and it works. Our value statements, and again, these are on the website, and again, these came out of all this collaboration, over 1,000 people involved in talking about what we wanted our values to be moving forward. We came down to 5 things. We know that education gives us confidence. We celebrate everyone's successes. And those successes are, yes, they're academic, but they're also to do with all the other things we do in school, to do with the arts, and to do with the sporting world of the school, and to do also just with those sort of like supportive things that you would want your children to do, I'm sure, being kind, being generous, raising money for charity, all these different things that we do, we celebrate people's successes. We have high expectations here, but we enable young people to achieve those expectations by thinking creatively and setting really positive, clear goals for our young people, and developing a sense of self-belief. As a young person between the ages of 11 and 18, the idea of self-belief and self-esteem are going to be problematic for many at different times of their lives. And there's a huge sense here, I think, of us acknowledging that and acknowledging that we won't always have fantastic days and we won't always be being massively successful, but we can feel like we're in a safe place here and get that support that we need and have clear goals that we can achieve, and also just develop that sense of self-belief through the community at Belvedere in order to ensure that people do achieve the high expectations we have for them. We celebrate diversity and uniqueness. We give everyone a voice and accept everyone for who they are. We're doing a lot of work in the Academy at the moment, looking at people's voice and looking at how we encourage our young people to take an active role in school, and take leadership opportunities right from year 7 all the way through, and really get the sense of feeling that they are part of our community and part of giving a voice to their ideas about how the community should be shaped, but also their ideas in a wide sense about their role as a citizen of the city and also global citizen. We embrace the importance of caring for and respecting each other, our families and the environment. One of the things I've been saying to our pupils over the last week or so since we've been back in the Academy is that what has to sit at the heart of our return to school, since we've all been out of school for so long this year, is the idea of kindness and caring, and being responsible for ourselves and each other. And that is so important. So that's why it sits there as one of our values. Finally, we recognise the importance of doing our best. As I said, we can't necessarily do our best every single day, every single minute of every single day that we come into this school, or indeed that we're out there with our families. But if we're always striving to do our best, then for the most part, we will achieve that. So just a few details now about curriculum, and we're going to pick this up in the question and answer session as well. We offer a very broad curriculum to our pupils, and that is hugely important to us. So at Key Stage 3, which is 3 years long, so year 7, 8 and 9, we offer a full range of subjects. All the pupils have the opportunities to study 3 languages, French, Spanish and Mandarin Chinese. All the pupils study drama, music, art, graphics, textiles, food, and a range of PE and fitness, all the way through to the end of year 9. So we have that fantastic broad curriculum that everyone gets involved in, and there's really something for everybody and a place there for everybody really to shine. At GCSE, we have a very broad offer. We have 25 subjects, including 3 languages and 2 BTEC subjects as well, and this is at GCSE. We also have an enriching opportunities course, which enables some of our students who perhaps don't feel like they want to do the full range of GCSEs to have a really rich additional course that really builds them as individuals and gives them pathways for their future. And it's a place where they can develop their own skills as well. For the last 3 years, in terms of results, over 80% of our grades have been at grades 5 to 9, and over 40% at grades 7, 8 and 9, which in old money is, of course, the A and the A star at GCSE. And we've been celebrated as having the best results in Liverpool for an unselective school for a number of years. At A level, we have a brilliant offer. We have over 25 subjects offered, and many schools, because of financial restrictions, have had to cut down their offer. But not at Belvedere Academy, we have a thriving sixth form, over 25 subjects offered, including 6 level 3 BTECs and also the extended project qualification. So in other words, again, something for everybody. We have a huge range of enrichment and opportunities, leadership opportunities in the sixth form as well. And as I said at the beginning of this presentation, they really are a significant part of our academy. Over the last 3 years at A level then and BTEC, a quarter of our grades have been at A and A star, 3/4 at A star to C. And remember, this is with an all-ability cohort. We are not a selective school. We take an all-ability cohort. So those results are something that we are incredibly proud of. Something else we're incredibly proud of is our enrichment programme. Many of you will know that our school day ends at 3:15, but on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, the school day rolls over into an additional 45 minutes until 4 o'clock. And that is because our pupils all engage at that point in enrichment activities, all put on by our staff. We're just starting the enrichment programme today, actually. It's been the first day, and it's been great to have the pupils staying in the academy till 4 and seeing them all buzzing and hearing the sounds of all sorts of things going on all over the academy, albeit of course, in their learning zones, because we've had to rearrange the way we operate currently as a school. But when I had a look at the list, we have over 164 opportunities per week to sign up for, which I think is absolutely incredible. Music, drama, we run a CCF, a combined cadet force for year 9 and above, Duke of Edinburgh. So everything from those sort of high hitters in terms of enrichment, all the way down to knitting club, Lego club, and all sorts of other discussion clubs that the pupils love to get involved in. So that, again, something for everybody. So why are we so successful? I think because we build upon the traditions and the ethos of the school that's been around for 140 years. And it's celebrated education for women for 140 years. Literally, when this school was founded, it was founded because there was a belief that there was a need in the city for an education system for young women, which would enable them to take a real active participation role in their communities and make a real difference to the world around them. And that still is very much what we're about at Belvedere. In order to give young women the very, very best start in life and enabling them to achieve their very best, not just in academic subjects, not just in examinations and qualifications, but in all those fantastic enrichments and in all those excellent social skills and personal skills that we're building through everything we do every day. Defining what Belvedere is all about is something that we are revisiting this year. There's always been at the heart of Belvedere this concept of the Belvedere girl, a pupil who perhaps is somebody who loves to learn. Being a pupil at Belvedere is not a bad thing to want to learn. It's celebrated by everyone, and it's kind of just the norm. It's just the norm that when pupils walk through the door in the morning, they're ready for lessons and they're ready to get involved in their lessons and learning. We respect themselves and each other. We're positive about abilities and celebrating success. We have a real pride in our school. We've talked about those with the values, but I suppose that is what makes this Belvedere pupil, or what traditionally we've referred to as the Belvedere girl, something for all our pupils to aspire to. We're revisiting that this year, and we're coining the phrase being Belvedere, and we're revisiting it and reframing it really for the modern world. And again, we're involving all our community, all our nearly 1,000 pupils, our families and our staff in defining really clearly what that being Belvedere is all about, because it's absolutely vital to me as the principal of this academy that every single one of our pupils and our staff and our families feel like they belong. And so we're having an activity this year where we're really looking at what that means to be Belvedere and ensuring that everybody can be part of that. Other things that make us special, well, the quality of teaching is excellent. Subject specialists teach their subject specialisms, very well qualified teachers, very much developing their subject knowledge constantly, and a real thirst for their subject and a real love for their subject. And if you were able to come into school and visit our school under normal circumstances, open evening and open morning would show you that. The staff are an absolute delight to work with. They're hardworking, they're knowledgeable, and they're so dedicated to what makes the Belvedere Academy work. Fantastic support. We have an induction department, which involves our inclusion department, which includes our inclusion manager and our SENCO, our special needs coordinator. We have teaching assistants, we have counsellors, and we work with other agencies as well. And that inclusion department is a real element of our success as well. A strong sense of knowing that supporting the pupils is absolutely vital throughout their time at Belvedere, and also supporting families as well. And our inclusion department reaches out to families on a day-by-day basis and involves yourselves in all those important support decisions for your daughters. We have a learning mentor in sixth form, and we're about to employ one to support our heads of year in years 7 to 11. We offer excellent careers advice and lots of opportunities led by visiting speakers or workshop coordinators who come in and work with our pupils regularly. And even now, whilst we're working in this sort of strange circumstances of COVID, we're organising online events for our pupils so they don't miss out on those careers opportunities. We have great facilities and accommodation. If you know Belvedere, you'll know that it's an interesting collection of buildings, which has kind of grown over time to encapsulate most of Belvedere Road now. Modern buildings, older buildings, a really fantastic, unusual site, but we have great facilities within that and great accommodation for our pupils. We stretch and challenge all our pupils, so we are an all-ability academy, as I said, but that is irrelevant in terms of stretch and challenge because all our pupils get those opportunities. And we have a fantastic enrichment program I've just talked about, and also the full range of trips, details of which you can find on our website. I just thought it would be useful just to give you a flavour of how we've responded to COVID and school closure, because I think this kind of sums up why this school is so successful, and why, you know, we strongly believe that it is a wonderful place for a young person to study. So going back to March the 20th, when we encountered school closure, my senior team and I had already anticipated this as they had in many schools, and we had prepared ourselves for that moment. And although it was a very emotional time when we had to say goodbye to our pupils, not knowing when we would be back, we were ready for that. And we set up a process of remote learning. So we finished on the Friday, and on the Monday, our remote learning program was in place. Because we're part of the GDST Trust, we worked with our 25 schools, supporting one another during these difficult times, obviously. And as a trust, we coined the phrase guided home learning to kind of represent, if you like, our remote timetable. So for the first 2 weeks, we followed the timetable for all our pupils. We ensured all our pupils had devices at home. We made sure all our pupils were engaged with what we were doing. We then took some pupil and staff feedback, and we changed the way we did it slightly after Easter. And then when we came back after May half term, we changed it slightly again, always in response to pupil, staff and parent feedback. So we were constantly looking for how to provide the very best guided home learning we could do. Some of that guided home learning was through Google Classroom, which is an online provision site, which we use really, really successfully. And it enables work to be set and work to be handed in and feedback to be given and support to be given. And some of it was also through live lessons as well. We're really, really proud of our guided home learning program, and it worked incredibly well. At the same time, we were, of course, tracking our pupils, and our inclusion department, our heads of year, our special needs department were in constant contact with pupils who were not engaging as readily as we would like them to. So we made sure that that engagement was there. So if they weren't engaging one day, they were emailed, the parents were phoned, and we made sure that they had everything they needed to engage. So all our pupils engaged with that guided home learning practice. And as I say, we're very proud of what we did there. But we were constantly looking for ways to improve it through doing feedback. As well as that, year 11 and 13, obviously, we had to manage the awful news, really, that their examinations were cancelled. We made sure they finished their courses through guided home learning, and we supported them through the emotional roller coaster that was the period where exams were cancelled and school was working on our centre assessed grades. And we also offered them additional courses. So year 13, some getting ready for university, getting ready for apprenticeship courses, just really getting ready for adult life courses as well. And year 11, we offered them the full suite of warming up to sixth form courses through the summer term. So that was really successful as well. We stayed open to key worker children and the children and our vulnerable children right through from March to the end of July. We sent virtual assemblies daily, so we had different assemblies going out to different year groups every single day, some of which went out to the whole academy, and different members of staff providing those assemblies as well. So that brought some fantastically positive moments and some moments of hilarity, as you can imagine, as staff really got onto the idea of providing online assemblies. We had all sorts of things, pets, younger children, all sorts of things being featured, but it gave our pupils a real sense of still belonging to the academy, even though they were learning remotely. Our weekly newsletter, which comes out every Friday, which you can see back copies of on the website, carried on throughout the whole of school closure. And in fact, it grew and grew and grew until it was about 6 pages long by the time we got to July, because staff were putting on their extra opportunities for young people, ideas of extra things they can do in lockdown, all sorts of suggestions. It was a real success. And of course, we sent out lots of communications to our parents and our pupils. And again, you can see evidence of that on our website, particularly around the idea of school reopening and getting ready for September. I think it's so important as a parent myself to know what's happening in my children's school. And that's the way we run it here. If anything, you might get a bit fed up with so many emails, but I know from feedback from parents, particularly during lockdown and the summer holidays, really sort of happy about and pleased with the fact that we were getting in touch and just keeping them updated in a situation that obviously was changing very quickly. So in July, when we were allowed to reopen in a very minor way, we reopened for year 10 and 12, coming in for small periods of time in small groups, obviously, but we created a timetable that ran over 4 weeks for years 10 and 12. So every pupil had the opportunity to come in 4 or 5 times and meet with their subject teachers and have 2-hour sessions with their subject teacher to complement what they'd been doing in guided home learning. We also, in July, before we finished, gave all year 7, 8 and 9 an opportunity to come in for a session with their form tutors and their head of year, which was just really an opportunity to get your uniform back on, come back in the building, and just, you know, be reintroduced to school life in preparation for September. Looking forward to September then, we obviously spent the summer preparing to reopen the school, and a lot of that was to do with risk assessments and making sure the school building was safe. But we were also, from a preparation point of view, from an academic and a pastoral point of view, really engaging with the recovery curriculum, which was put together by the psychologist Barry Carpenter and is one that has been used in some schools in Liverpool as well. This is making sure that, yes, we get back to learning in September and we get back to lessons and we get back to the normal rhythms of school life, but it's really making staff and the whole way that which the school is working at the moment aware of the fact that everybody, staff, pupils, families, have experienced some element of loss over school closure period, over lockdown, and we need to be aware of that. So that is very much sort of at the centre of what we're doing at the moment. Normal lessons, normal school life, normal timetables, back to doing homework, etc., and all those lovely things that we do in school, but sort of through the idea really of embracing this idea of a recovery curriculum. So we're very aware of the fact that everyone's experience of lockdown has been very different, and we need to ease ourselves back into the rhythms and the structures of school at a time when people's anxieties are understandably still reasonably high. Part of that was the fact that when we got our students back in September on the very first day, all the pupils had an induction day with their form teachers and heads of year, and then we eased ourselves back into the timetable. As part of our enrichment programme, we've now got a programme called Leap Ahead for year 11 and 13, where as well as their timetabled lessons, they're having some support sessions through enrichment with subject specialists. And we're also planning the additional study programme, which at Belvedere is a programme which is designed for 11 and 13s, where we open school up at half terms and on Saturday mornings in order to give that extra support in preparation for external exams. This year, we always do it anyway. For a number of years, we've done it in sort of the spring term, but this year we've brought it forward and we're providing that for year 11 over the next few weeks, starting over the next few weeks, and then for year 13 after Christmas. We're also all prepared to learn to move to what we're now calling a mixed model of learning. In other words, if we do have pupils who are self-isolating for any reason, then we are obviously teaching the pupils in school, but we're ensuring that those pupils who are self-isolating are having exactly the same diet of lessons, resources and tasks set and fed back on via Google Classroom. So this idea of mixed learning now is where we're at, isn't it, as the situation develops very quickly. So I thought just giving you that idea of what we've been doing over the last few months really gives you a flavour of what we're all about at Belvedere. It shows that we are incredibly quick to react to situations. We are incredibly flexible. We're constantly reevaluating what we're doing and trying to improve it. At the heart of it is a real strong sense of caring for our pupils and supporting our pupils, but also wanting to encourage them to aspire to be their best, to do their best, and to learn in all different areas, academic and enrichment and skills, personal and social, to learn in all sorts of different ways, and to really feel like that when they leave us at the age of 18, that they've had this fantastic all-round education, which is enabling them to go off and be future leaders in whatever area of life they choose to pursue. Finally, from me, just a little thing about admissions. Okay, so I'll try and slow down at this point because I know that the whole admissions process can be a little bit complicated. Obviously, it's all on the website, and any questions you may have, do get in touch with us and we will answer them to the best of our ability. So the deadline for applications to Belvedere Academy is this Friday. And if you haven't done so already, you need to fill in the application form, which is on our website. Now, in addition to that, you will also need to fill in the common application form for your home local authority. So if you are living in Liverpool, that is Liverpool Local Authority, and so on and so forth. So there's two forms to complete. One is our own application form on our website, and the other is the common application form for your home local authority. Now, the common application form needs to be completed by the 31st of October. On the common application form, you need to list Belvedere Academy as one of your 5 preferences. Now, the preferences come into play if you are offered a place in more than one secondary school. And then the local authority will look at your preferences and give you a place in the school that you have said is your top preference. So if you want your daughter to come to Belvedere, you should put Belvedere first. There's no sort of games to play about that. It's quite straightforward. And that's the way you go about it. So please don't sit at home and be worried or confused about that process. If you give us a ring in the Academy, our wonderful support staff in the main reception will talk you through that process. So in the event of oversubscription for the Academy, we apply our oversubscription process. And this is on the website if you want to look at it in more detail. But basically, the oversubscription process means that any looked after or previously looked after children are placed first. Then any applicants with an education and healthcare plan will be admitted where the Belvedere Academy is named in that plan at the time of application to the school. Then siblings who are full, half, step, adopted or foster sisters, but they need to live at the same address and are part of the same family unit at the time of application for the school. Then children of Belvedere Academy staff. And then in addition to this, in accordance with our specialism, at the Belvedere Academy, we select 10% of the agreed admission numbers, so that's 16 places on aptitude for learning music. In order to identify those 16 places, we are using a multiple choice listening assessment. Now, obviously, COVID has made the whole idea of you visiting the Academy, your pupil coming in for the assessment, which we would normally have, very complicated. So we have been granted a variation to our processes this year by the school's regional commissioner. And so we are not holding our normal assessment morning. We are, however, still holding the music specialism test. So the music specialism test, if you opt for your daughter to take that test, and there is a place on our application form where you can indicate whether you'd like your daughter to take that test is still happening within the Academy on the 3rd of October. Now, obviously, we will be taking into account all the issues around our risk assessment in terms of social distancing, etc., and more information about that will be coming out over the next couple of weeks. So just to clarify, there is no assessment this year as there would normally be, but there is still the music assessment test, the specialism test on the 3rd of October, but that is an opt-in test. Now, what that will look like is it's a test, it's a listening test, and it's a multiple choice test. And it will take roughly 45 minutes. And as I say, more details about that will come out shortly. So if your daughter takes that music specialism test, and as I say, there are 16 places available for those young people, you will be notified by letter if your daughter has been successful before the 31st of October. Otherwise, all the other places, other than what I've just mentioned there, will be allocated via a random allocation process, which is witnessed by a school governor and by the local authority. And then offers are made by the local authority on the 1st of March 2021. There is a right to appeal, and that information is on the website. So I hope that hasn't confused anyone. I know there were lots of questions about the admissions process, but just to clarify, no assessment this year, but there will be the music specialism assessment test. But everybody else who has applied, who doesn't come under those oversubscription criteria, like looked after children, etc., will go into the random allocation process, which is witnessed by the local authority, and that's how the places will be allocated. As I say, do get in touch if you're confused about that process, because you need to absolutely get it right. I wouldn't want anybody to get it wrong and miss out on a place here. That's pretty much all from me for now. So I've got some members of my team here who've been waiting patiently to answer some questions. I've got Stephen Jameson, who is our Senior Vice Principal, Jenny Jones, who's our Vice Principal, Julie Marshall, who is an Assistant Vice Principal and also our Inclusion Manager. And we've also got Julie Collin, who is our Admin Manager, who oversees, she's a lucky person, she oversees the assessment process and the admissions process. So she's here to fill in any questions that have come in while we've been on air. So we're just going to do a little shuffle around. We're just going to move the laptop. So if you bear with us for just 30 seconds while we move the laptop so that you can see all these other lovely people, and then we're going to hand over to them to answer the questions. Thanks very much, Chris. Okay, so I think Mr. Jameson is going to take the first few questions. Thank you.
I am indeed. Good evening, everyone. Extend my warmest regards to you joining us this evening. I hope you can hear me. I'm speaking quite far away from the camera. I would like to answer some questions that have come in around the curriculum. I've been here 5 or 6 years now, and my main responsibilities include teaching and learning, the timetable and the curriculum. I know Julie has spoken a little bit about the curriculum offer in her presentation. Like her, I'm extremely proud of our curriculum offer here at Belvedere. I think it's very bold. And as you may know, it sits, of course, at the heart of any Ofsted inspection now, the curriculum. And as I say, I'm very proud of the curriculum that we have. Not only do we teach textiles, food technology, drama, graphics, music, amongst other things, we also have dedicated teaching areas for these subjects. Just above me, in a classroom above where we are now, we've got 20 sewing machines to aid the delivery of textiles. We've got a brand new kitchen to enable the delivery of food technology. And we've got 10 science laboratories, 2 of which were installed just last year as part of the expansion. So we've got excellent facilities to aid the delivery of our curriculum. One of the questions that has come in was about the curriculum in school closure, and it spoke about whether we'd stripped back on our offer in light of school closure, and indeed in the last couple of weeks since we've reopened. And I'm actually very pleased to say that we have not stripped back on our offer, and one of the things that we were really keen to do is maintain as much normality as possible by continuing to offer those subjects I've just mentioned. So we're not like some other schools focusing exclusively on the core subjects, say English, maths, NFL. Whilst they are very, very important, we also believe the delivery of things like PE, music, art really enrich the curriculum offer right through the school. So hopefully that answers that first question about how the curriculum has been adapted in light of school closure. And of course, by the time your daughters, if they're successful, come here in 2021, we hope very much that we have returned to normality in terms of the way we offer things and the way we work as a school. The second question that has come in, again, Julie did touch upon it, was about languages. And just to repeat that we do offer 3 languages from year 7, so that's French, Spanish and Mandarin. And again, we're pleased to say that that's for everyone. So I think it's very, very important again about our inclusive offer. We don't just say, oh, this group of students can do this, say 3 languages, where other students just do 1. I must say that at the end of year 8, the students will pick 1 language to specialise in for GCSE, although later on there is still the opportunity for students to pick up a second language if they are inclined to do that. So that answers the question about languages. And the third question that has come in is about how many hours do we offer in terms of English and maths on the timetable. So I must say, first of all, we offer what's called a 2-week timetable at Belvedere, week A and week B. There's 5 hours each day, so that's 25 hours a week, 50 hours over 2 weeks. So of that, in year 7, 7 hours per fortnight we devote to English, 7 hours to maths, 6 hours to MFL, and then all of those other subjects make up the rest of the timetable. That actually increases the provision, particularly for English and maths, as we move, as I say, up the school, as students start to pick options, etc. So in terms of the curriculum, as I say, if you have got any other further more specific questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch. But from me, as I say, thanks for watching and joining. And I'm going to hand over to my colleague Jenny Jones, who's going to touch upon the pastoral system and enrichment in more detail. Jenny.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I had a question about the pastoral system. specifically centred around heads of year. So we do have heads of year. They are teaching heads of year, and they will oversee the transition of your daughter from year 6 to year 7. They will be in touch with the primary school. They will find out if there have been any problems or issues, anything that we need to be aware of, and they will work very hard to smooth that transition for when they come in and they join us in year 7. The heads of year are supported by the form teachers, and our form teachers play a very important role in the life of the students here at Belvedere. So they see the girls every single day. They're their first point of contact, and they will support your daughter in school if she's got any issues or any problems, and she will liaise with the head of year as well. Following on from the form teachers, we've also got the pastoral office, which is a dedicated office if students should have any problems, if they forget their lunch, if they forget their PE kit, if they feel unwell, where they can go to at breaks, at lunchtime, before school, after school, or they might be sent there during lessons, where they can go and receive any help that they need. And they might be then put in touch with another member of staff. The next question was about enrichment. Yes, we are champions in a number of sports, and the question was specifically about what our attitudes and vision with sport is. So we offer lots of sports during our enrichment timetable, and we have a sport for all attitudes so that anybody can join in with sports, but we also have enrichments run for the team. So they will have a team practice where the students will play in teams in the city. They will go into the GDST rallies, and we have lots of success there. So sport is for everybody, but we also have teams as well for those who excel in sport. I'm now going to hand over to Julie Marshall.
Hi everybody, just on the side of the camera, just here. Yeah, there was a question about how we deal with bullying and any sort of friendship issues. So essentially, what we do, we know that there will be issues that happen, and there will be problems along the way, sometimes maybe not in the first year, sometimes as the girls move through the school. So what we always do is we try and obviously listen to the student, listen to the parents, find out a little more information about the issue. And then once we've got all the information, working together, we work towards a resolution. If there's been a more serious issue, if it falls into the area of bullying, which doesn't happen very often, it has to be said, but we will then make sure all the students are supported, and we'll monitor the situation. So we would come back to that situation later on. Just sort of on a similar note, what we do a lot of work to prevent issues from happening. So right from year 7, within form time, within enrichment, within PSHE, we do lots of work with all the students on listening skills, communication skills, teamwork, how to resolve issues when they arise, so that then hopefully as they go through the school, they mature, they develop their confidence, and that everybody learns to be kind to each other, and that's what we want to create as they move through the school. So hopefully that answers the question that came in. I'm going to pass over now to Mrs. Collin. I think she's got some admissions questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. Hi everyone, I'm Mrs. Collin, and I've dealt with a lot of admissions at Belvedere over the years, and certainly since we've been in academy. I know Mrs. Taylor outlined all the application process, but there were just a couple of other questions that have come in. A couple about the music assessment, understandably, because that is still going ahead on the 3rd of October, and there will be more details to follow about that. And music is widely available throughout the school, not just to those students who do opt to take the actual assessment test. And for those people who were wondering about having a look at our facilities, the online virtual tour is still available on our website as well from our open evening in June, that also had to become virtual. I think there was one other question as well, I can't quite remember what it was now. Oh yes, it was about the preferences, that was right. Mrs. Taylor did explain that you needed to put Belvedere as one of your choices on the preference form for your local authority. Now, you don't have to put Belvedere first, you have to put Belvedere in the order that you would like for your daughter to attend, and that goes with every single school, because that is the preference form that the local authority will try to match. So they will try to give your daughter the schools in the order that you have placed them, if that is at all possible. Okay, thanks very much.
Obviously, I was just presuming everyone would put it first. This is Colin. I think Stephen's got a few extra things.
Yeah.
Sorry about us all moving around, but we're trying to maintain social distancing whilst trying to do this presentation. So it's an interesting exercise. Stephen, did you have
Just a few more questions that have come in. We are trying to, hopefully you appreciate they're coming in quite thick and fast at the moment. If we don't get back to everyone, we'll endeavour to do so. But just a couple of questions about music. So music opportunities in terms of like learning musical instruments it will be open to everyone. It doesn't just, not just those selected on the music early assessment. Hopefully that covers that one. The question about whether they are obliged to participate in music for their entire school career. No, obviously we'd like them to get involved if they have an aptitude to music, but there's no obligation to get involved in specific things. There's also a question about the religious education offer. I would urge that parent to go and look at our website again. There's information about all of our subject areas on the website, quite detailed information about the offer, and hopefully the information answering that question will be on there. There's also a question about challenges that we face as a school. And again, obviously, it's hard to see past COVID at the moment and reopening, but we're working on a 3-year development plan actually at the moment. And again, details of that, once we've finalised it, will be made available to parents, so you can very much see where we intend to get to over the next 3 years. So they're just some of the questions that have come in the last few minutes. I'll hand now back to Julie to finish off.
Does anybody have any others?
Just one, it just says about having to submit another form, application form. They don't need to, if they've already submitted an application form, they don't need to submit another.
Thank you. So yeah, so basically, if you've already submitted your Belvedere application form, then job done. You've done your application. You don't need to submit another one. So the 2 forms that you have to submit overall is one to Belvedere and then the one to your own home local authority. Okay, so thank you so much. And I feel that some really excellent questions as well coming through from you. And as we keep saying, do get in touch if we haven't answered those questions. I really like that question about challenges. Obviously, all schools are facing a huge number of challenges at the moment, and that is very much true of us at Belvedere. But what we can say is that vision that we have, be brave, be bold, be Belvedere, has been so important to us over the last 5 or 6 months in dealing with all sorts of issues around our school community. And I hope you can see from what we've been saying about what sits at the heart of Belvedere, about engaging all the school community in the idea of what it is to be a Belvedere pupil, making sure that everybody feels involved, making sure that voices are heard and the work is done to develop our curriculum and also our sort of school community and our sense of being in community. I hope you can hear that we are responding really positively to those challenges. We are a very open community here, and parents are constantly getting in touch, and that's absolutely as it should be. And we take the same view of people in the community and also prospective parents. So if you want to have a more in-depth conversation about where we're going to as a school, if we haven't sort of summed that up for you this evening, then please, just drop me an email, and I'm quite happy to give you a phone call and we can talk about it over the phone. And any questions, obviously, go forward. So I hope you've enjoyed this evening. It's been a new one for us. Obviously, we're on a very steep learning curve in terms of remote working, as I'm sure many of you are, and the social distancing thrown into the mix as well. But as I say, keep in touch, and we're looking forward to meeting you very much in the future. So thanks very much. Thanks, Chris.